Well, one of the games that I didn't look at on the Xbox One X at launch was AC Origins. Now, I did cover this in a full detailed analysis across all versions available to me at the time of launch, because the X wasn't out then, which you can check out the link below or on screen. Now, this is a look at the Xbox One X version, because I have been asked by quite a few people to look at the title and see just how it performs. So the first thing is, the performance is still targeting 30 FPS. There's no change there on any other version. It's the same refresh rate, and as predicted when I looked at the preview footage, it does target a full 3840 by 2160p resolution. But like all other versions, that is dynamic, with the lowest point I can find dropping down to 3264 by 1836. Now, it may drop lower than that, but that looks around a 30% scaling on both axes at its most stressful points. There may be points where it goes lower, but I didn't test the full game, only the first couple of hours, which you can see footage of here. But before you rush in and think this is a full 4K game, again, like many titles, it rarely spends any time at that upper ceiling. Once it hits it, in fact, you only get there if you stare up at the screen and into the sky, looking at very limited GPU load. In average, it comes in around 10 to 15% lower than that. Again, like I say, with its lowest base around 30%. This means, at best case scenario between the Pro and the Xbox One X, we are looking at a 43% decrease from the Xbox One X to the PS4 Pro's 2880 by 1620 limit that it hits. That tends to hover around that and the 1440 level, maybe a little bit below occasionally in stressful sections, but that's as low as it tends to go, which means on average we're looking at a title that runs around 40% to 20% lower resolution on the Pro, and performance wise they are very close indeed. On a 4K screen you can notice a slight improvement on the X over the Pro, just sharpening up that image quality and improving the texture details. On top of this, I do believe that they've increased the load bias on the Xbox One X as well, due to the increased memory space that it's got available to it. So actually it loads better texture filtering and textures themselves nearer or further away from the camera than the Pro, but I'm not going to get involved in testing this. It is in the patch notes and I wouldn't be surprised to use it. There is a hefty increase there on the Xbox One X in terms of memory, so that may help out some of the streaming and the texture quality map bias as things load in. So moving off of resolution and onto performance, many people said that the title performed quite bad. So here I'm testing the latest patch on the AC Origins on the X. That is patch 1.4.2. So this gives it their best quality settings. Now, I no longer own the PS4 Pro version anymore, so the visual quality here I can compare, but the performance levels are compared from when it launched back on that sample, so it might be slightly better on the Pro with some of the performance increases. But looking at the section running through the screen here, you can see that the Pro held a pretty much lock solid 30 FPS, bar a couple of dips which have probably been ironed out in later patches. And again, we can see here on the X that at that increased resolution it's also holding on to a lock solid 30 FPS. The Pro was always the better performing of the PS4 and the Xbox One on the original analysis that I covered, so I don't suspect it's gotten any worse on that score. So moving into the title further on the X, you can see that the 30 FPS target is held most of the time. It does have a few dips which tend to come when you attack enemies and it loads in some of the actions and obviously CPU, or maybe even cache switching or context switching. I'm not too sure what's going on, but they do look CPU related when you get these very small jitters, but I can't rule anything out. I don't have access to the actual code itself, so I couldn't tell you whether it's GPU or CPU. But I can tell you from over 10 to 12 minutes of tested footage here, I didn't find anything significant in gameplay that really made it feel jittery and unsmooth. Most of the time, it was pretty much a lock solid 30 FPS. Now, the cutscenes, like all other versions, are where the game dips the heaviest, because it uses a hell of a lot more GPU load and it tends to scale the resolution less aggressively during these sections. So you end up with a game that can dip down to around 27 here, which is very similar to what we saw on the other console versions. If you are interested in the statistics, then you can watch my real-time frame rate average here to give you an idea of how it performs. Give you a clue, it's pretty much smooth, but you can look at the statistics down below in the description and the top comment that's pinned on the video. That's it. It's a short one, but it was one that was requested, so I hope it now answers the question just how the Xbox One X performs and if that performance level is anything to worry about on this new improved 4K console. That's it, I'm out, but there's a few more minutes of frame rate analysis if you so wish to watch. I'll catch you on the next one.
gods will not forgive you.
The oldest, my lord.
One may have heard an ancient story or know about the vault.
Will not pass, my lord. Keep the Giria safe.
Hey, what?
Shit! The Arcondas is down.
What word did your father say?
Jump. Don't think so long. Jump.
Yes, Papa.
Jump then. Come back. You're not ready.
I can do it, Papa. I can.
Shut up, you filthy little shit.
Help! Help me! That's Shanzura!